Let's do this. Right now, apparently we're smack dab in the middle of New York, Times Square, one of the biggest cities in the whole world, you know?
It's nuts. There's a lot of people, a lot of traffic, and I think there's more cabs than original cars, so that's pretty nuts.
I guess they're gonna bring one of the biggest BMX courses ever. Big roll in, huge jump. I think it's like 25-foot first jump. New York's officially complete.
It's nuts. All the triples contests I've been in have been in like stadiums or like an arena or something. And this is my first time in New York and a triples outdoors, so I really can't wait.
Pretty much the top dudes in BMX are here. I'm excited to see what happens, man. This place is gonna go nuts for sure.
Welcome to New York City. We are in the heart of Times Square for none other than Air in the Square. It's big air triples of BMX and skateboarding. Hello everyone, I'm Jimmy Coleman, standing alongside multiple-time X Games gold medalist and 2-Cup champion Jamie Beswick. And Jamie, in the last 5 years, we've done these events all over the country, but here today in Times Square, it's in the biggest venue it's ever been in.
It absolutely is, and for that fact, we brought the biggest names in action sports and the biggest tricks too. This setup has all the makings for the best contest of the year.
Now, as we've done in the past, it's 12 riders, it's head-to-head bracketed competition. We've got guys like Ryan Nyquist, Daniel Dhers, and Brett Banasiewicz. 2 of those guys, by the way, have big wins on the tour last year. However, today, with this field, any one of these 12 riders can take the win. In addition to the BMX action, this is only the second time we've ever had the skateboarders on the course, and for that, we've got some of the biggest names in the world in MegaRamp. Guys like Bob Burnquist, ELG, and Andy Mack, they're gonna be taking to the course here today as well. And right now, we're gonna quit talking about it, we're gonna get right to the action.
It's amazing to have the triples event here in Times Square. I think it's going to be huge for BMX and action sports in general.
I was excited about it, and then when I finally rolled up and saw the setting and the ramps and stuff, I was like, dude, this is gonna be nuts. Like, this is gonna be awesome.
The riders that are here are nuts. I got an email the other day and looking through it and had the rider list. And it was like all the heavy hitter dudes.
For there to be an event right here in Times Square, it's just like, it's like the cream of the crop. It's all the best guys that should be riding the triples all here at once.
Some of the best in BMX have gathered for an inaugural event for a brand new partnership between ASA Entertainment and Madison Square Garden. And it all takes place right here on the MegaRamp ASA Triples course with a format the athletes love.
I think it's awesome head-to-head for the fact that the crowd understands what's going on, who's gonna win, why they're gonna win, and normally when the winner is chosen, I think people that don't even know the sport or what's going on, I think they understand why, and I think that's awesome, getting the crowd involved.
The head-to-head thing, it's a little bit easier to see, like if you need to step it up, if the guy before you, really throws something out there, and then like, okay, I'm not gonna beat this with the run I had planned, so I have to step it up.
Going head-to-head is just in a way more personal, level, It's not like you're going against 10 guys, you're going against 1.
The course is a hybrid of park riding and dirt jumping. You've got 2 box jumps and a quarter pipe, and you're judged on how well you ride all 3 obstacles.
Just like dirt, I love riding dirt. Big jump, another big jump, and then it incorporates the park into it with the big quarter pipe. So you can't just have the big tricks. Obviously they're a big part of it, but you gotta be able to ride everything.
Leaving this event, no matter how I do, if I do good or bad, this is gonna be a memorable event. It's crazy, we're in Times Square, the biggest event. This is gonna be one of the biggest events I've ever been to in my life, probably will, until we come back here next time, so I'm real excited.
In the opening round, we start off with 6 matchups. Each rider gets 2 runs, and the best run moves on. We open it up with an epic battle between Daniel Dhers and Colton Satterfield.
Daniel Dhers from Venezuela. I think he's the only guy on this roster with do cups, and that's plural. I think he has 3 or 4 of them. So yeah, that's real fair of you guys to put me against him. Thanks.
I went against him the second time I competed at the ASA, so it's pretty cool to just have a battle again, Like last time I won, hopefully I can win again, but he's riding good, man. I've seen him, so it's gonna be definitely a tough battle.
It's definitely a tough matchup to start it off with. Colton Satterfield rolling in first with a big 360 backflip, and into the second set, that's a bar spin 360 to late tail whip, and he cannot get something down on the quarter pipe. That's a truck driver. Truck driver's a 360 with the bar spin and throwing a late tail whip into the mix. And by the way, Colton needed to throw Ryan Nyquist on that list of Duke Cup champions that are here in the lineup. There's a big 720 out of Daniel Dhers and a 360 double tail whip and onto the quarter. So Daniel Dhers with a full pull for his first run. So now the pressure's on for Colton Satterfield. As I mentioned before, you're judged by what you do on all 3 obstacles on the course. Again, starts it off with the 360 flip, and this time around a 360 triple tail whip. That was huge. That is a 360 with 3 revolutions of the frame of the bike around him.
3 triple whipped. I've never done a 3 triple whip in a contest. I was like, well, that's what it's going to take today. So did it, and I pulled it, and I was stoked.
And he has every reason to be stoked because he is seriously up the ante. Daniel started off for run 2 with a no-handed 720 with a 360 double tail whip, and into the quarter pipe with a double tail whip. It is now in the hands of the judges. By the way, they don't give out scores, they just hold up number cards. Is it rider 1 or rider 2 that's moving on to the next round? Taking a look at some replays here. Here's the 360 double tail whip. And as he makes his way to the quarter pipe here, check out the height factor. The Big Air close-up is brought to you by Stride, the ridiculously long-lasting gum. And check it out, the frame of the bike up there, right at about 8 feet on what we've dubbed the Strideometer. So there's a shot of the judges. As I mentioned, no scores. They just hold up a number card to determine which rider moves on. And let's see what they think. And check it out. Colton Satterfield moves on to round 2. He has slain the proverbial dragon here and taken down a heavy favorite in Daniel Dhers. So that was how we opened competition. Right now, taking a look at some highlights of how the other 5 matchups panned out here in the opening round of competition. Next up, we saw Vince Byron going up against Mike Spinner. Vince had a slip-up, missed a pedal in his first run, and he had to get it done in his second run with moves like this 540 tail whip on the quarter pipe, and Vince Byron moved on to round number 2. Battle number 3 saw James Foster going up against Zack Warden, but James Foster came to the party with a brand new trick in the double backflip, and he too would move on to the second round. Our 4th matchup pits Pat Casey against Austin Coleman. Check out the style on this nose dip 360 double tail whip, and here a 360 tail whip to late bar spin. He's got a wild style, and it would move him on into the second round as well. Our 5th matchup, kind of a default round. Rob Darden suffering from knee injuries, so Ryan Nyquist was able to cruise here through the opening round, still throwing down a stylish 540. Our last matchup in the opening round, Steve McCann going up against a heavy favorite in Brett Banasiewicz, a no-handed front flip, and into the quarter pipe here with a massive flare, and it's no surprise that Brett Banasiewicz would move on to round 2. So our quarterfinal matchups look like this. Pat Casey against James Foster. Vince Byron will face off against Ryan Nyquist, and we'll see Colton Satterfield going up against Brett Banasiewicz. However, keep in mind, no one is truly eliminated from the competition until we get to the semifinals because we still have the battle background yet to come. Quarterfinals coming up here in Times Square. Air in the Square is brought to you by Stride. The ridiculously long-lasting gum is a proud sponsor of Air in the Square. By Harris. This HD broadcast of Air in the Square is powered by Harris. By Chase, a proud partner of Air in the Square. And by Quicksilver. Welcome back to the Big Apple. We're in the heart of Times Square for Air in the Square. Set to kick off the quarterfinal round. The matchups we'll see here. Pat Casey against James Foster. Vince Byron up against Ryan Nyquist, and Colton Satterfield will see Brett Banasiewicz. We still have the battle background. No one is eliminated until we get into the semifinals. Anyone that's been bumped out thus far, they'll get one more shot at what's called the battle background to try to earn one spot left in the semifinals. Coming up next, though, Pat Casey against James Foster. Will we see another double backflip out of Mr. Foster?
Yeah, actually, against James, I had no idea really what I was going to do. I mean, I knew James was going to double backflip, so that's crazy.
Well, he was 2 for 2 on those in the opening round. Pat Casey starts us off here in the semis. That's a nose dip 360 double tail whip. That's a truck driver with the late tail whip. Again, the truck driver's a 360 with a bar spin, and the bar spin to tuck no-hander on the quarter pipe. Watch this, 3 tricks in one. You've got the 360, the bar spin, and the tail whip. Nice combo line there. And the bar spin to tuck no-hander on the stridometer. Up next, James Foster.
With everything going on in Times Square, all the lights and all the people and everything, like it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be pretty crazy, but when the time comes to drop in, like the only thing on your mind is BMX and doing your run, so that should be it. Should be all right.
It's amazing to me the relative ease that he's thrown these double backflips, and there is another one. He's 3 for 3 on those, and look out, he has to throw the bike away. Now, he took off too far to the middle of the quarter pipe. He's down, but he's not out because he still has a second run to come.
Yeah, James did a lot of double backflips, and it's like, double backflip is such a dangerous and scary trick that's like, I don't know, it's just crazy that he did that. I mean, I knew he was gonna do it, so I just kind of prepared and tried to do something else to see if it worked.
Starting off this run with a nose dip 360 double tail whip, and there's a 360 tail whip over the second set, and a bus driver. This is a very conservative run for Pat. And next up, James Foster, run 2.
You know, I'm trying to win, so I don't really want to, I don't want to go up against anybody who's gonna take me out, but pretty much just gotta, you know, think about what I'm gonna do my best tricks, and hopefully it works out, you know?
So we'll see what James does this go around here. Starts it off with a flip whip. It's a back flip with the tail whip, and again with another double flip. That's 4 for 4, and a downside tail whip to what appeared to be an X-up coming out of that. A big second run there for James Foster, and now it is in the hands of the judges here. As you can see, it is a packed house here in Times Square for air in the square. How about James Foster? 4 for 4 on the double backflips here this afternoon. And wow, the judges unanimously give it to Pat Casey. You can see that Pat even almost looked a little shocked by that one right there. So he will move on to the semifinal round and take another look at this. And this is a contender for the Chase Best Trick of the Day. Right now, let's send it down to Jamie Bestwick.
Pat Casey, you are on a roll today, my friend.
Thanks, man.
How's it feel riding for everybody in Times Square and putting up with James Foster and his double flips?
It's crazy. Like, I don't know. I think James Foster should have won. Definitely, like, double backflips are insane. I mean, that's insane.
They are insane, but obviously not enough to get you into the semifinals. We've still got 2 more rounds left to go into the quarterfinals. Then we have the battle back round when we come back to Times Square. We are back in Times Square for air in the square. We are in the middle of the quarterfinal round. Pat Casey has already moved on. The next matchup we'll see Vince Byron against Ryan Nyquist, and the winner of this will face Pat Casey in the semis.
So Vince Byron, for him, like, this is a great thing because he's got 2 jumps. He can send some crazy tricks over, and then he's got a quarter pipe at the end. He offers a lot of tricks that a lot of these guys can't do. So like, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for sure. Like, I don't know, that's no easy task going up against him.
Vince Byron rolling it in. This is a backflip double tail whip into the second set here. This is a 360 double downside whip, and there's one of those vert tricks Ryan was talking about. That is a 540 tail whip, 1.5 times around with the body and the handlebars, and the frame of the bike does a 360 around you. So a very solid run there for Vince Byron, but you never count this guy out. Ryan Nyquist definitely has the skills to take a big win here. Bar spin backflip into the second set here with a nothing, and I guarantee you he wanted to spin the handlebars out of that one. A nothing is an air where both feet and both hands come off the bike, and watch the body language here. He wanted to throw those bars around, but it just didn't work out.
I think BMX is the best sport. I like flipping around and jumping in the air and doing that sort of stuff. I used to be a gymnast, so I was really into that, but it was just way too disciplined for me. And BMX is freestyle, you can just do whatever you want, and I mean, it's on a bike, and I like riding bikes as well. To me, it's the best sport I can think of.
Vince in the driver's seat here after a solid first run into the second set. That's a 720 tail whip attempt. He just kind of took off a little too far from left going to right. Watch this one. Goes around 2 times and then kicks the frame around him as well and ends up doing a header into the barricades.
When I spun off the lip, I went too far. I just somehow drifted over to the right of the ramp, and when I landed, basically I fell off the side of the ramp straight like into the barrier and onto the ground and hit my shoulder and my head. I was feeling pretty bad after that one.
Well, he avoided danger on that one. However, he does still have a very solid first run. Ryan Nyquist here starts it off with a backflip bar spin, and there's a nothing to double bar spin. And how about a bar spin 540 coming out of that? That is what I was talking about from that first run. He does the nothing, and he didn't want a single bar spin. He went 2 times around. Check this out, completely letting go, send those bars around twice. That's what he was trying to do in run 1. Now, he had a solid second run. However, I think Vince Byron's going to have the edge on him here, but it's in the hands of the judges. And it looks like they're leaning towards Vince here. There's a 1. It's unanimous. The judges give it to Vince Byron. So Ryan Nyquist will move on to that battle background we keep talking about. And Vince Byron's got his work cut out for him. He's going to square off against Pat Casey in the semifinal rounds. But take a look at some replays here. Backflip, double tail whip. And over to the second set here with a 360 double downside whip. And let's not forget about the 540 tail whip that he did on the quarter pipe. One more matchup to go here. Colton Satterfield gonna go up against Vert and Park.
I think, I've said it before, ASA Triples is my favorite contest. By far the funnest. The biggest trick, the biggest riders. Simple format, head-to-head, and I think the setting that it's in Times Square is just out of proportion from everything that it's ever been.
Colton's having a pretty good day so far. He's already taken out one of the heavy favorites in Dhers. What's he got here in the quarterfinal round? A backflip double tail whip. Take a look at the replay here. You do a backflip, 2 revolutions of the frame of the bike. Almost looked like he was going to slip the left pedal, but he manages to ride that one out. However, he's got his work cut out for him because this young man, Vert and Park, has been extremely dominant on the Triple Series. A front flip, no-hander, clapping those hands behind his back. And there was a huge trick, the cash roll. You have to see this trick in slow motion to fully appreciate it, and that is definitely a contender for Chase Trick of the Day.
My first run, I 3-flip, and then backflip double tail whip the second jump and pulled it, and I was psyched, and I flared the quarter, and I was like, wow, all right, what should I do now? This is Brett, like, and then he went and killed it. I was like, crap, I'm gonna have to really kill it.
Well, the pressure was definitely on for Colton in round number 2, trying to contend with the cash roll here. Roll it in with the 360 backflip to start it off again into the second set. 3 tricks in 1. That's a bar spin backflip with a late tail whip and a no-handed flare on the quarter pipe.
So I 3-flip the jump and backflip bar spin to late tail whip, which is a banger. Like, if I could think of the hardest trick that I could do, it's that one for sure. And I pulled it, and then flare tuck the quarter, and then just like Brett does, just comes through and just kills it.
Well, what will Vert and Park throw down here for run number 2? Coming into the first set, there's a corked out 720 into set number 2, and there's another cash roll and a flare with a bit of an alley-oop thrown into the mix right there. Alley-oop, the term we use to describe when you're drifting the opposite direction that you're turning. You see how he kind of takes off in one spot and stays in that same area on that trick, and I would have to say that Colton put up a heck of a fight here, but I would have to say that Brett is probably going to be moving on to that semifinal round. Now, the winner here is going to face the winner of our battle back round. Remember, everyone that's been knocked out thus far gets one more shot in the battle back round, trying to earn that spot in the semis. And Vert and Park gets the nod here, and he will go to the semifinal round here at Air in the Square. It's crazy enough to see tricks like the cash roll being thrown down, but it's even crazier when you see the skyscrapers of Manhattan in the background in slow motion. Right now, we send it down to Jamie Bestwick.
How'd you do that?
How'd I do what?
You know exactly what we're talking about. Cash roll, front flip, back clap, and then double down whip on the quarter.
I don't know. I think Colton had basically an amazing first run. I was like, man, I gotta make the same thing happen.
That's a phenomenal run from such a young rider.
Thank you.
You got a big following out here today. It's got to make you feel great.
NYC is awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, so our brackets here coming into the semifinal round. Pat Casey squaring off against Vince Byron, and Brett Banasiewicz, he's going to go up against the winner of our battle back round. What is that? Everyone that's been bumped out thus far, they get one more shot at trying to earn themselves that last spot in the semifinals. And it all goes down here in Times Square when we come back to Air in the Square. We are back in Times Square for more Air in the Square. It is now time for the battle back round. Anyone that's been bumped out thus far got one more shot. It was one run and done, trying to make it into the semifinals. Colton Satterfield taking out Zack Warden. It was Mike Spinner that would take out Rob Darden and James Foster to earn his spot. And Ryan Nyquist, he would take down a big favorite in Daniel Dhers to bring us to the three-man final here in the battle back round. 3 riders, 1 run, trying to get to the semis.
I had to go first in the finals of the battle back round when it's all 3 of us, so you gotta like, what can I do that's good enough to beat them, but they're not gonna watch it and be like, oh, well, that's the level I have to do. So you just pick the highest level and you go there, because everyone behind me it was me, Mike Spinner, and Nyquist. Mike Spinner and Ryan Nyquist, and I went first. So I was like, well, what can I do here?
Well, fatigue ends up being a factor here in the battle back round, because you're just taking run after run after run. 360 backflip to start it off. There's a 360 triple whip and into the quarter pipe with a flare. He had mentioned earlier in the show that he hadn't done a 360 triple whip in the comp before, and there it was. He's 2 for 2 on those today. Look at this, once, twice, 3 times around with the frame of the bike, while the body and the handlebars do a 360. Solid run for Colton Satterfield. And we'll see what Mike Spinner brings to the party here. First jump in, it's a triple tail whip into the second set with a 720 with a combo in there. I'll have to see the replay to see what happened there. And a triple tail whip on the quarter pipe. We'll have to see that in slow-mo here to see what was going on in the middle of that 720. There you go, it's a turn down. Oh, and then he does an X up, so changing the trajectory of the handlebars twice there. Now it's down to Ryan Nyquist. He starts it off with a double bar spin backflip there, and with a 720 combo of his own, he did a 720 X up, but a rarity for Ryan Nyquist. He has to bail out on the 720, so that means Ryan is not going to make it out of this battle back round. That's what was going on. The left foot started to come off the pedal there. But the question is now, it's all down to Colton Satterfield and Mike Spinner. Check out Colton here with a 360 triple tail whip, and here's Spinner with a triple tail whip, and this one's going to be tough. And remember, the winner of this is going to go into the semis and face off against Brett Banasiewicz, so they definitely have their work cut out for him here. Again, Ryan's going to be eliminated here because of the fall, so who's getting out of this one? Will it be Colton, or will it be Mike Spinner? And it's unanimous. Colton Satterfield gets out of the battle back round. He will have another shot at trying to be the king of Air in the Square here today. So, taking a look at our semifinal round matchups, you've got Pat Casey squaring off against Vince Byron, and Colton Satterfield, he's going to get another crack at Brett Banasiewicz. Remember, Brett eliminated him in the quarterfinal round. Right now, let's check in with Jamie Bestwick with our battle back round winner.
Colton, how do you feel that this head-to-head format really lends itself to your style of riding?
I would say it lends itself to everyone's riding, because everyone here is getting insane, but
you're capitalizing so much today on some of the biggest names in action sports.
hey man, I had to go first there. I had all the pressure on me. If I would have wrecked, they would have had easy street. I had all the pressure, and I didn't have one guy, I had 2 guys. Don't call me deep, but yeah, man, I see what you're saying, and it's just, you just got to roll the dice every run. Simple as that. Like, this contest is crazy. There's no other way to say it.
Rolling the dice has paid off for him, because he has earned himself a spot in the semifinal round. BMX not the only thing going on here. When we come back to Air in the Square, the skateboarders take to the MegaRamp ASA Triples course. Welcome back to New York City and Times Square. Air in the Square is the first event produced by the recently announced partnership between ASA Entertainment and Madison Square Garden to bring major new action sports events to the New York market. This amazing contest in the heart of Times Square is just the start of big things to come from MSG Action Sports and ASA.
The value and the relationship between ASA and MSG was perfectly set up to do this major event in Times Square. I mean, the experiences, the relationships that we have are different from the relationships and experiences that MSG has. And so it was the classic example of 1 + 1 = 3, and it was an amazing way to start the partnership as we're about to launch even bigger and better things in 2012 and beyond.
We think action sports is a great platform. It's the fastest growing sports segment in America. 50 million active participants right now, and New York's the #2 market. Wow. And it's got no big time events, so we think there's really a chance to put a stake in the ground for Madison Square Garden.
The ASA guys first told me about their partnership with Madison Square Gardens and that it was going to bring some new events into the calendar. I was so excited. I realized the enormity of this announcement, and it's just going to bring so many new and exciting opportunities into our sport at a time when we really, really need it.
The MSG partnership with ASA is really great, because now they see how great the skating and how much energy there is when people watch it. You know, there's people watching on the streets, they just walk by and say, whoa, what's this? Oh my gosh, and come watch it for an hour.
It's just amazing that MSG, is such a big production company like them, is getting involved in action sports and is backing us and be able to compete every year in New York City. You know, I couldn't ask for more.
I'm super happy that ASA is doing this with MSG. I mean, it's gonna help myself and skateboarding in general, all these guys, and it's just gonna boost my career and boost everyone's.
Madison Square Garden, ASA, they know what they're doing, and I'm really looking forward to it because it's going to be the biggest, best event of the year.
But the athletes obviously excited about the partnership. We're going to give the BMXers a rest, and now the skateboarders get to show their skills here in Times Square.
I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, not too far from New York City, and yeah, I would have never imagined if you had told me 20 years ago, yeah, one day you're going to skate some ramps in the middle of Times Square, they're going to close it down so that bikes and skateboards can ride these ramps. Crazy, that'll never happen. And here we are.
It's going to be a one to remember forever.
Pretty awesome to be out here in New York. It's definitely my favorite city. And we really don't have too many events going on in New York, so it's awesome to be competing out here. Hopefully we're going to be back in the near future.
It's amazing out there in Times Square, in the middle of Times Square, where everyone is, arguably the busiest intersection in America.
It's a great city, and to be at Times Square for a special event is pretty unique.
And we kick it off with the skateboarders here with a jam session. We run this event a little bit differently than the BMX contest. There are no judges. It is full fan-based voting here. The audience picks the winner. So the strategy is going to be a little bit different. Yeah, you want some big tricks, but you're also trying to put on a show and impress the fans here. And that's the kind of skating that plays to a guy like Andy Macdonald. He'll put on a show everywhere he goes. But this little guy right here, rookie Mitchie Brusco, lighting up the crowd with some stylish box jump moves and some nice airs on the quarter pipe. Speaking of newcomers, check out Jet Eaton right here. He's actually an amateur. Look at Bob Burnquist, a one-footed frontside backflip and trying a frontside or rodeo 540 there. Very, very close on that one. Another one of the Eaton clan here. This is Jagger Eaton, his little brother. Adam Taylor with a nice 360. Floats a lean air there. And check out Mitchie Brusco with a lofty kickflip and tried an even bigger air to fakie there and had to throw the board away. New York City native Elliott Sloan. This is actually his first time ever riding the MegaRamp ASA Triples course. Watch Jagger Eaton right here. The little guy tries an indie grab backflip. Take another look at this in slow motion. Look at that gap. That's a pretty good fall right there. And he's very close to the edge. He's landing right on the knuckle right there. Very, very close. A nice 360 out of his older brother Jet there. Check out Jet with a frontside 540. There's Bob with that 1-foot backflip, and Bob gets the frontside 540 down. Again, they call that the Rodeo 5. Bob Burnquist really lighting the fans up. Andy Macdonald getting some backflips into the mix. Nice 360 coming out on that one. And check this out, that's a double kickflip. The board goes over 2 times around, once, twice, and watch the grab. He lets go of that thing so early, it just kind of floats that one back into the transition, much to the appreciation of the fans here in Times Square. Bob Burnquist with an oldie but a goodie there with the airwalk or variation thereof. Check out Jet Eat with a big front side 360 and another front side 540. Kind of putting the hand down right there. That almost looked like an old school 80s trick called a unit. Lincoln Ueda here. Nice backside 360. Loses that one going over the gap. What's Bob got in store now? How about a backflip? A Christ Air backflip. Bob just going absolutely ballistic here in Times Square. Look at this. Big backflip, frontside grab, and you take your feet off. Mitchie Brusco with another, look at that kickflip. And did you see the back foot placement? That back foot got on the tail at the very last possible second. Andy Macdonald, how about an airlock into a lean grab airlock there? A couple of 80s tricks for you there. PLG 360 into a body burial 360, a very nice combo line out of PLG. And when it all came down to it, it was between Andy Macdonald, Mitchie Brusco, and Bob Burnquist. And Times Square has spoken. They gave the win to Mitchie Brusco.
I'm here with Mitchie Brusco, the winner of the skateboard Air in the Square. And Mitchie, you definitely had the whole of NYC in your favor today.
I guess so. I mean, I was just out here having fun, skating with everybody, and then started talking to them, and they loved me, I guess, and the crowd chose the winner, so for some reason they decided to choose me.
What does it mean to be on the podium with such legends as Bob Burnquist and Andy Macdonald?
I mean, it's my dream. I've always wanted to compete against those guys and everybody out here. I mean, I just want to thank everybody here for putting this on, and thank Bob and Andy for pushing me, and I skate with them all the time, so they're basically the reasons I'm here.
Congratulations to Mitchie Brusco getting the win here. Keep in mind, we've got more BMX still to come, the semifinals, when we come back to Air in the Square. Welcome back to Times Square for more Air in the Square. We're back to the BMX boys, and here we are in the semifinal round. Two matchups here. We've got Pat Casey going up against Vince Byron, and Colton Satterfield battled his way through the battle background to face off against Brett Banasiewicz, who will make it in to the final round. First up, we'll see Pat Casey against Vince Byron. Now, at this stage of the game, fatigue is definitely a factor. And remember, Vince is a little beat up. He had that crash on the 720 tail whip, so this matchup is key.
By that time, I was actually, I'd taken a couple of pretty hard slams, and I hurt my shoulder and my hand, and I did have a little break to watch the Lucky Loser round go through. You know, which was feeling okay, and then I did a couple of warm-up jumps, but I was feeling pretty sore. And I knew I'd have to throw down a bit to get Casey because I know how good of a rider he is.
Vince is such an amazing rider. He's just, like, all the tricks he does, he can do any trick he wants, really, pretty much on the box jumps, and then on the quarter, he has definitely the best tricks in the quarter. He's a vert rider. So it's definitely crazy going up against Vince.
So Pat Casey starts it off. First trick in, a nose dip 360 double tail whip, and he slips the pedals. You don't see that out of Pat Casey too often. There's once, twice, and watch the left foot, it looked like slipped off the pedal there, and he was unable to complete the run. But remember, it's 2 runs, and the best run counts.
Going first, I feel like always sucks, but if you're going second, then you can kind of figure it out yourself, like judging, just looking at their runs and stuff. That's why I just felt like going first, I had to do what I can think of, because I know he would come out swinging.
Here we go with Vince Byron for one run of 2. He slipped a pedal as well on that backflip double tail whip. And there's a 540 tail whip. Again, 1.5 times around the body and the handlebars. The frame of the bike does a revolution around you. Watch this. Once, twice with the backflip tail whip. And look, the right foot slips the pedals. He saves it, he drags it a little bit. He still gets across the second box jump and throws a massive trick on the quarter pipe. So that was a huge save there
But remember, it's 2 runs, best run counts, so anything could happen here in this second final round. Pat gets the nod to roll in, and here we go. First trick in, nose dip, 360 double tail whip, and there's a truck driver to late tail whip, and a bar spin to late tail whip on the quarter pipe. The truck driver, again, is a 360 where you spin the handlebars. So 3 tricks in 1 for Pat there. Look at the style, 2 revolutions of the frame of the bike in the 360. And now it comes down to Vince Byron. What's Vince got for round number 2? There you go, a backflip, double tail whip again. And there is a 360 double downside whip. And again with the 540 tail whip, but he lands low and ends up blowing off the bars. Now he made that trick clean in the first run, but can't do it here. And here's why. Check out the height factor. Just lands too low and gets tossed off the bike.
I did what I thought was good enough to beat him. But unfortunately, I crashed. I did a flip double whip, and then I did a 360 double down whip, and then a 540 whip on the quarter, and unfortunately pulled too much out and landed flatter and went over the bars on the 540 whip, so that was pretty much done for me. And after another crash, I was just so over it. I was like, oh, whatever, man.
Well, this one is going to be very close to call, and as I mentioned earlier, fatigue definitely a factor when you get this deep into the competition. And it all comes down to the judges, and it's unanimous. Pat Casey is going to do battle in the final round, but hats off to Vince Byron for pulling off the 540 tail whip in his first run. Well, that brings us down to our final semifinal match here. It's Colton Satterfield against Vert Banasiewicz. Now, this is a rematch of what we saw in the end of the quarterfinal round. Colton was eliminated, had to fight his way all the way through the battle back round, so fatigue is definitely a factor for him too.
I had to ride against Brett again, and the whole time there, I'm like, all right, I got the big box jump tricks. I mean, everyone's getting pretty serious on the quarter, but nobody's really popping off on it. So that's all I can do. Like, I'm gonna have to do my biggest tricks. I'm gonna have to go crazy on the quarter.
Starts it off with a 360 flip, and into the second set, that's a bar spin to bar back to late tuck no-hander, and a no-handed flare on the quarter pipe.
I was stoked. My very first run against him, I did a bar spin back to tuck no-hander, because I landed low, and I was like, oh, this would be funny, because I can't do a trick. With a bar spin back to tuck no-hander is like insane. And I was doing it, just chilling, and before I know it, I actually did it. I was like, well, what? And I didn't really think like, oh, that's gonna be a high scoring trick or whatever. I don't think it really did. But that's so technical and so hard. So at that moment, I was just like, I think it just escalated from there. I was like, dude, I don't even care how I do. Like, that just made me so happy. I'm stoked.
Should be stoked. You made it all the way through the battle background to get here and started off with a solid first run. But here we go with Vert Banasiewicz. We've already seen big tricks with the likes of the cash roll out of him earlier on in the comp. There's a big 720 to start it off. And then the second set, the stretched out Superman C grab and an invert flare. You get upside down in the back flip 180 and you invert the frame of the bike.
I did a front flip and then Superman C grab, which really got the crowd going. I like that.
I'd have to say that this one is very, very close at this point in time. It's 2 runs, best run counts. What is Colton Satterfield gonna throw down here in the second round? First jump in for him, 360 backflip. What's he got going into set number 2? It's a 360 double tail whip and into the quarter. Whoa, stepping it up there. That is a flare whip, a backflip 180 with the tail whip. He mentioned it earlier, he was gonna stomp it on the quarter pipe, and that's what he just did.
Second run in, I was like, still like, oh, I'm gonna go out there and kill it. Flare with the quarter and pulled it. And so did what I had to do, did what I wanted to do on it, and somehow came away with my feet on the pedals.
Rode it out clean, and now it's down to Vert Banasiewicz. You saw the cash roll earlier, I mentioned before, you saw 2 of them out of this young man. Does he bring it here in this second run of the semifinals? There's a no-handed front flip, and then corks out a 720 and into the quarter pipe with a downside whip opposite.
And then on the second run, I did another front flip and then 720, and I got lost after the 7. Went up to the quarter, and I only did an opposite downside whip, which I should have done something else, but oh well.
When I said it was opposite, that was going the wrong direction for Vert Banasiewicz, but the judges give it unanimously to Colton Satterfield. So Colton is taking down Daniel Dhers and Vert Banasiewicz today to earn himself a spot in the finals.
As soon as I beat Brett, like I was stoked, man. I was just like, wow.
Vert Banasiewicz put up a heck of a fight, but Colton Satterfield up in the ante on the quarter pipe with a flare whip. And he moves on. We will see him in the final matchup going up against Pat Casey when we come back. Air in the Square was brought to you by Vitamin Water Sturdy. Help support strong bones. Vitamin Water, you're up. By Harris Corporation. This HD broadcast of Air in the Square was powered by Harris. And by the Aventi Hotel, the hotel for those who like it live. Captures the excitement of Manhattan's hip Chelsea neighborhood and beyond. It has all come down to this. It's one more bracket of competition here in the middle of Broadway. Who is going to be crowned the champion here of Air in the Square? You've got Pat Casey facing off against Colton Satterfield. And remember, the story here, Colton has had to battle his way back out of the battle background to earn himself the spot here in the finals. It all comes down to these last 2 runs.
I've been in the finals like before, but it's definitely cool being just in the finals with. I've never been in New York, so it's pretty sick.
Pat Casey, I was way more stoked. At that point, it was over. Like, I was like, dude, I don't even care what happens now anymore. Like, me and Pat, and I told him straight up, I was like, dude, let's do this. Like, let's go out and kill it.
Let's do this thing, Pat. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. Now we killing.
Me and him were both psyched that we were up there together. Pat Casey's like one of my really, really good friends, so to be up there with him is pretty sick.
So Pat Casey starts us off. It's a 360 bar spin with the late tail whip, slips the pedal, but he still gets across that second box jump there, and a bar spin on the quarter pipe.
For the first run I dropped in, I did 3 bar to whip, and I slipped the pedal. So I mean, it always sucks slipping a pedal.
He did slip the pedal, however, he did salvage the run, so that was key there to that first run. Now we'll see what Colton counters with in his opening run. In the first set, 360 backflip into the second jump, a bar spin backflip, got a weird rotation on that one, and taking the hands off the bars in the flare.
First run against Pat in the finals, I realized I had to go for it. Went for the flip bar whip. As soon as I threw the bars, I was like, crap. I know if I kick the tail whip, I'm gonna end up on my back because I'm spinning way too fast. So I was just like, extendoed the arms out and saved the flip bar, which was sick because as soon as I realized it, I kind of slowed the bars down, made a little bus driver make some extra points, I guess. And then flare tuck no handed the quarter, so that was cool. And then I was like, oh, well, I guess it comes down to the second runs, who's gonna kill it?
So both riders not putting down the run they wanted to the first go around, so it all comes down to this run here. There's the truck driver to late tail whip, and this is a nose dip 360 triple tail whip. That was a triple tail whip.
And then the second run, I just made sure I landed that 3 bar to whip. And I did dip 3 triple whip, and then I just did a bar spin on the quarter. But I definitely wanted some more than just a bar spin on the quarter, but oh well, happens.
Pat ended up just going for broke again, doing one of those crazy 3 double whips, super dipped over the first jump. I think he truck to whip the next one, just all dipped and slow, and ended up casing, blowing his feet and bar spin on the quarter. And at that point, I was like, wow, like it kind of rushed me. I was like, wow.
So Pat steps it up. Now let's see what Colton brings to the party. 360 backflip to start it off. There's a bar spin to late tail whip in the backflip, but he washes out.
I went out there, 3 flip the first jump, through the bars. I felt a little weird, and I was just like, nah, screw it. Last run, kicked the tail whip. Caught pedals, thought I was fine, but ended up sliding out, getting a little skin taken off on. And I was a little bummed that I pulled it because I thought I had it, but slide out, whatever.
Colton going for broke there. I think this one's pretty evenly matched at this stage of the game, and you can see the judges are deliberating right now. This is very, very close to call. And what are they going to decide? Pat Casey or Colton Satterfield? Neither one of these guys have taken a win on the MegaRamp ASA Triples before. So one of the judges says Colton, and Colton gets 2 out of 3 votes. So Colton Satterfield is the champion here of Air in the Square.
I was definitely stoked for Colton winning. Like, he definitely killed it, and I know he definitely appreciates it a lot, so it was awesome having Colton win.
Yeah, this is my first big win on like a major pro contest, so yeah, man, I'm stoked.
For a lot of people watching, you really were Mr. Consistent, and you threw out some of the biggest tricks this afternoon. Did any of the riders put enough pressure on you to step it up to a next level, or did you really take it to the next level today?
Every single rider I rode against literally made me do things that I necessarily didn't want to do. Like, I'm gonna have to take it there. I'm gonna have to go there. And so almost every single run, it's safe to say, I had to do something outrageous, and everyone did insane things. So yeah, man, it's just the gnarliest contest ever.
Well, congratulations, Colton. You're today's champion here in Times Square.
Thanks, man.
Congratulations to Colton Satterfield, and a historical note here, this is the second time in the history of the MegaRamp ASA Triples that someone from the battle background has come back to take the win at the event. Colton Satterfield wins the competition, but the best trick presented by Chase goes out to James Foster. We had several contenders, but at the end of the day, it's James Foster and the double backflip that gets the best trick honor. What an amazing event to kick off the partnership between ASA Entertainment and Madison Square Garden. We look forward to many more in years to come, but what an epic way to kick off.
The atmosphere was just the best. I really liked it. I couldn't really comment anymore. Like, it was that good to be in New York City riding a contest in front of all those people. Just couldn't really ask for much more.
The crowd was super hyped. This stuff doesn't happen on the East Coast that often, you know, and for it to be in the heart of New York City, I mean, like, that's it.
This HD broadcast of Air in the Square was powered by Harris. Special thanks out to Infinity by Harman, Oakley, MegaRamp, the City of New York, the NASDAQ market site, and our after-party host, the Ainsworth. That officially wraps it up for us here in Times Square. I'm Jimmy Coleman. On behalf of myself and my co-host, Jamie Beswick, we thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.